Happy Sunday! Yay! So, yeah. As a college student, you kind of learn certain ways to feed yourself and survive without spending tons and tons and tons of money. The way that I have found best to save money and or spend as little money as humanly possible and still survive is by purchasing one of the cheapest foods in American culture. Most people don't realize how much this specific product is subsidized by the American government, specifically the Department of Agriculture, and that's why it's so cheap in the United States. And what is this mystery food, you might ask? Potatoes! Potatoes are really, 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 really cheap in the United States. For example, this 10-pound bag of potatoes cost me how much? $2. That's really, really cheap. So I found something that's very cheap and very helpful, and it fills my stomach for very, very cheap. The other thing is how easy it is to deal with, how easy it is to cook, how easy it is to eat, and, you know, I mean, who doesn't like being filled their stomachs completely with, like, no effort whatsoever? Especially as poor college students. Now, some people might think, okay, eating potatoes all the time must be terribly bland, and, you know, what kind of variety do you get with that? It must be awful. And a lot of the time, you are right. However, there is something that I have found that has been extremely helpful, that is yummy and tasty, and something that I can eat again and again and again. Full disclosure here, as some of you might think this is terribly unhealthy. That's because it is. So, you do what you can. But, secret ingredient that I use to make potatoes bearable as a food source on a regular basis is ranch dressing. Yeah, ranch dressing. I grew up eating ranch dressing on potatoes whenever I had potatoes. It's a flavor that I continue to enjoy, and so yeah, that's how I make my bland potatoes non-blandishy. Yeah, is it healthy? Absolutely not. But it works. And since I don't get my paycheck until tomorrow, I'm not going to be buying more healthy, albeit more expensive foods for my, you know, daily consumption. Also, I always put way too much ranch on than anyone thinks is healthy or that I should. Ooh, that looks so good. And I'm not going to show you my plate because otherwise you would think that it looks so much like diabetes on a plate. I always like saying diabetes just to drive people crazy. By the way, in the American Book of English Usage, the pronunciation of diabetes and diabetes are both technically acceptable pronunciations, so don't complain about it so much. So while I'm enjoying my wonderfully unhealthy lunch/dinner, I'm also going to talk about one of the books that is driving me insane right now. It keeps me up at night because I prefer it to sleep. Anyway, what is said book? The Way of Kings. So this book is by Brandon Sanderson. He's very well known for the Mistborn trilogy, Elantris, Warbreaker, and he's probably very most well known because he's the one who is finishing the Wheel of Time series. You know that really long series that started off as a trilogy, then it ended up being like 14 or 15 books, and it was so long that the author died before the series even ended? Yeah, that one. So after Robert Jordan died, Brandon Sanderson was chosen by the estate of Robert Jordan to finish the series. By the way, I haven't read The Wheel of Time. I remember once having a cousin who asked me, hey, have you read The Wheel of Time? I said, no, I haven't. Then he said, oh good, don't start, because once you start, you can't stop. And that would be really, really annoying if the series is, like, not even done. I think it's done now? I'm not sure. But anyway, I digress. This book, Way of Kings, is incredible. Brandon Sanderson's real talent is for creating worlds and magic systems that are just completely out of the blue. Something you would never anticipate. For example, the Mistborn trilogy. Like, you ingest metal or metal particles in liquid, and depending on the metal and your specific ability, you burn the metal and it gives you a specific power. So Brandon Sanderson comes up with all of this crazy stuff, and it's awesome. So The Way of Kings centralizes around the world of Roshar. Roshar? I have a really hard time pronouncing names in this book. I never know when to put syllables and stuff. But it's really nice because it's refreshing, it's fantasy, who doesn't like fantasy, and it's really engaging and interesting, and the character development is pretty much awesome. So yeah, Way of Kings is an excellent book, and you should totally read it. I highly recommend it. So now that I've been talking for a little while, my potatoes are getting cold, and so I am going to eat now. But you have an awesome Sunday. Have fun, don't die.